Hey guys, and welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is the daily show where we give you all of the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Joining us as always is Jon Campea.
Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, coming to you from right here at the Collider Video Studios here in Burbank, California. And good day, Governor. I should know. Why did I do that? Now they're not going to
Hello,
shut
mate.
up. Why?
Hello.
I should have let it go.
Too late.
Jon Campea.
Also here, Jon Schnepp.
I'm so happy to be here with all of you people. I was just over watching Chatty Man and then got a pint over at the World's End. I was having quite a good day until Jon Campea said, hello there.
Cut him off!
Hello.
Kristian Harloff.
It's amazing how bad that sweater is. I love that sweater. I'm kidding. We're doing the worst accents in the world.
Oh
my goodness, Governor, arrest me and put me in the con.
Kristian Harloff, hello there.
Hello there, special.
Let's start. It's my fault. It's my fault.
Okay, it is your fault.
It is my
We've
fault.
lost it.
It's an all mailbag day, guys, so send in your questions on Twitter so we can get to them at the end. First question comes from Andrew Volovich, and they write, hey guys, longtime viewer, love the show. My question is about this new trend of rebooting older franchises with an all-female cast or lead. With actresses finally speaking out about gender inequality in Hollywood, do you think this is a bit of a cop-out for studios to try and pretend they actually care about this issue? I feel that even though I'm sure these movies will be good, maybe creating some all-new female-driven franchises would be better for equality than spinning off what male actors have already done. Thoughts?
Okay, first of all, under the question of are the studios just pretending to care? Yes, they're pretending to care. Of course they don't care. Look, I've said this for forever. Studios are amoral. If it ever sounds like they're taking a moral stand on something, it's only because they believe that is the profitable stand to take. They are completely amoral. They're not immoral. They're not moral. They are amoral, like totally and completely. They will go wherever the money leads. And if they think that means female-driven franchises, they'll go female-driven franchises. If they think that means male-driven franchises, they'll go male-driven franchises. But that being said, this isn't just a quick gimmick. We are seeing a shift in the trend of getting more female-led stuff. And it's not just these former male-led franchises like Ghostbusters. Now there's a female Ghostbusters. Remember, like one of the most successful franchises going today is The Hunger Games. Right. Female-led. What's coming out here in a few weeks? Star Wars. Who's the lead character in Star Wars? It's Rey. That's female-led. We are starting to see like a lot of people's favorite spy movie this year, wasn't mine, but was Spy. We're starting to see that Hollywood is cluing in that, you know what? Maybe female audiences like this stuff, duh. So they're finally cluing into it, and they're realizing we can do this and make money. And so while some of it is a bit of a gimmick, I feel like the Ghostbusters one is a bit of a gimmick.
Gimmicky, yeah.
I don't think the Men in Black one is gimmicky, though. If they went with two of them, maybe. But I think there is an overall trend we're seeing that Hollywood is wising up to this, and I hope it's a trend that continues. Anyway, Kristian, what do you think about this?
Well, I think one of the things that we're lucky as well, too, and the reason they're able to do this is because of the talent that's out there, and I think more women are getting shots to shine. Like, look at even something like Female Ghostbusters, which I agree in premise can be gimmicky, but you also have to look at the talent that's attached there with Melissa McCarthy and Kristen Wiig and even all the Saturday Night Live cast that they have. They are proving themselves outside, so people want to see them, and they're stars. I mean, look what Bridesmaids did alone. Right. What I do agree with what the viewer said here was that I think that they should kind of develop stuff on their own, because like, look at that Sandra Bullock Ocean's 11 thing. To me, I think it would have been a lot more appealing if you would have done just tell me that Sandra Bullock is doing a movie similar to Ocean's 11 with a female kind of driven heist film. That to me is cool. But when you do an Ocean's 11, I've seen the story, right? I've done it already, and that to me seems gimmicky where you don't need to. You could put Sandra Bullock, who's great, with a cast of characters. But if you also want to spin it into action, look at what Scarlett Johansson and Emily Blunt have done in the action genre as well.
Edge of Tomorrow, you could almost say Emily Blunt was the lead.
Absolutely, and she was great in them. I mean, even what she did in Looper, to where she wasn't just kind of
oh my gosh, she was so good.
Yeah,
in
she
Looper.
wasn't just like the quiet, rescue me. She was like the kick-ass girl in that as well too. And I think that that's where you can push forward into the action genre, because even that stupid movie which I hated, Lucy, made money. So you're going to see her do more stuff, and there will be, and I think that is what they're also doing in the studios, they're making material that people want to see. Again, throwing back to Lucy, it's not a movie that was good, but it's certainly a premise that people wanted to see.
Well, and Lucy then got Scarlett Johansson the chance to be the lead in Ghost in the Shell, which is an original new live action version of a very popular anime. So I think it's twofold. I think there's a giant female audience that I think, some polls say sometimes it's 51%, 55% women going to see movies, more so than men. It changes every film, so I wouldn't go by those polls, but what I would go by is like Ghostbusters, definitely all 4 women being the Ghostbusters. It's gimmicky, but why not? The first 2 Ghostbusters, all 4 men. I mean, they could mix and match it, or they could just do what they're doing now. It's still something new and refreshing. You can look at something like Trainwreck, though. You have Amy Schumer. That was a big hit. It was a female-led comedy.
Yep.
It's a very funny film, original content. I think there's a lot of, what we have now is the superhero genre taking over. In a good way, we'll see a lot of superhero-led female movies like Captain Marvel.
Right.
We'll see Wonder Woman. We'll probably eventually see some form of I guess we won't see Black Widow, but we'll see some more female-led characters. Obviously, there'll be a Harley Quinn spinoff. Probably Birds of Prey will be next. There's going to be a lot of chances taken on female-led comedies, action movies, superhero movies. I don't think there's any problem with that. I think it's a good thing.
You know what the one thing would take away from this perception of the gimmickiness of it, though? Let's take that Ocean's 11 situation. If they just said, hey, we're developing a new Ocean's 11 story in the tradition of the heist films, it's going to star Sandra Bullock, blah, blah, blah. If they just said that instead of saying, it's going to be an all-female Ocean's 11, if they just didn't do that, I think the gimmicky perception of it would go away, and we would just take it for what it is.
Well, that's the same thing with Ghostbusters to me. I think that at Ghostbusters, if you would have done a spin-off or they continued the story that was there before, then I think people would be a lot more accepting to that, because you're just kind of retconning all the stuff that had happened before with the great characters with Venkman and everything too. I think that continuing a story with all female, that what had been there before them, could have been so intriguing. So I think that they rushed to, let's just remake it with women. It's like, you don't have to. Let them further the story that was there already, or do something completely different.
You know what would have been fun? If they'd said, if they had, and then they're not doing this, by the way, guys, don't run with this. If they had said, these are the 4 daughters of the original Ghostbusters, that totally would have worked.
Like what they were going to do with Goonies.
Yes.
We don't know we still don't know what they're doing.
No,
with
we
Goonies.
don't.
That's an undecided.
They still don't know what they're doing with Goonies. All right, what's next?
Michael Hamilton writes, hi, Movie Talk crew. With all furor for The Force Awakens going around, my question is, if George Lucas is saying that Greedo shot first, is that the end-all be-all for the Han or Greedo debate? Thanks, and may the Force be with you all.
For those of you who don't know what this question is about, and I'm positive most of you do, in the original incarnation of the original Star Wars film, Han, being the rogue and scoundrel and survivor that he is, when confronted by Greedo, he wasn't having none of this. He murdered Greedo in cold blood in the bar. Now, it was still self-defense, because Greedo's pretty much announced his intentions, and I'm going to kill you if I have to. So he shot first. Now, in the special editions and the re-messed with editions that George Lucas later put out, they changed it to where Greedo actually shot first. So Han was purely acting in self-defense. So you've probably seen the T-shirts around that says Han shot first, Han shot first. Now, here's the thing. This is very much like the situation of my utter denial that the prequel films even exist. Like, to me, you talk to me, I say the only 3 Star Wars films that exist are New Hope, Empire, Return of the Jedi. Those are the only 3 Star Wars films. But the reality is, no matter how much I say that, the reality is there are 3 prequel films, and they are real, and they are part of canon, and they are part of the overall story. I can say there's only 3 Star Wars movies till I'm blue in the face, and I do. But the reality is they are there. They are that, drug-addicted uncle that still lives in your grandmother's basement. He's an embarrassment, but he's still family. That's what the prequels are. And the same thing goes with the whole Han shot first, Greedo shot first. Those Star Wars movies, they belong to George Lucas. And if George Lucas says that Greedo shot first, to me, Han always shot first. To you, Han always shot first. But if Lucas says Greedo shot first, then that's what it is. Greedo shot first. So much like my denial of the prequels existing, I don't know, Schnepp, how do you see this? Do we have fans, as fans, have the right to say, no, Han shot first, or is it Lucas's call?
No, it's as a fan of the movie, as a kid when I saw it and I saw Han shoot first. George Lucas can retcon stuff till he's blue in the face. He can he could remake it as CG characters. I mean, I don't know what he would do now with Star Wars. He's already done so many editions and special editions, fixed certain things and ruined other things that were great in Star Wars. There's no reason to mess with a film. I think you want to do something, make a new film. Don't keep remaking or fixing or adjusting, doing special editions to all these things that you were like, well, now with the technology, I could do. So I was like, I believed it the first few times he retconned stuff, but then it started like you're manipulating things that don't make sense, like the whole thing with Han shooting first. Now it's Greedo shooting first because he felt like that's a hero wouldn't do that. It's like, hey, he's a scoundrel.
He
wasn't a hero. He's a
hero.
pirate. He's I mean, he's not a bounty hunter, but he's he's smuggler. So Han shot first. That's always going to be the case for me. I don't need to wear a T-shirt to know that Han shot first. I just know he shot first. And Lucas lost his mind. Thank God he's making his weird experimental films in his basement. I can't wait to see those, Lucas.
I have to disagree with you. One thing that you said, though, you had said, well, he owns Star Wars, and it's his. He doesn't own Star Wars anymore. And they asked J.J. Abrams the other day on one show. They said, "Who did Han shoot first?" And he said, "Hell yes." And he's part of the new regime now that controls Star Wars.
But they can't change anything.
They can't change anything. But what they can do is in the Han Solo movie, see him do things very similar to that. And that's a good point. When you have Han Solo, this version of Han Solo that was a scoundrel and wasn't a good dude, and his arc changed throughout the movies. That when he finally was doing good stuff, you see how far he came from being the dude who's just going to blast an alien right in the middle of a bar to a guy that's going to go, wait, I'm going to look out for my friends first and do this stuff, because he had to change.
Dude, that's why you care about the ending of Star Wars, where you don't care about the prequels because they didn't do any character development. When he shows up and saves Luke, let's go home, kid. Everyone's cheering in the audience. It had an emotional resonance.
Something that Han Solo that we met in the cantina, who did shoot first,
who
that Han Solo wouldn't have done that.
Because he was all about himself.
Yeah.
Right after he shot Greedo, he's all about pay me. I'll take you. Pay me. Like that's all it was about. And then he also added in that scene with Jabba the Hutt where it's so silly. He's stepping on Jabba's tail, and there's
the nerd sweat at this table right now.
It's crazy, but
it's very deep.
But besides that, no. The other thing though too is saying like they can't change it. Maybe not, but what they could do when they eventually get those rights back to the movies, the original versions, and I don't know what the deal is with Fox. Fox might have them for a long time.
Perpetuity, yeah.
But if they ever do release, the questions are going to, if they release the original versions, the questions are going to come, are those the canon versions?
I'm going to tell you, if they do re-release the versions, I'm almost certain. I don't know this. This is pure speculation on my part, but I feel very certain that when Lucas sold those things over, he sold that these are my movies. These are how they are. So if you re-release them, these are the versions you got to release.
And if I'm Bob Iger, I'm going, look at that. That says $4.4 billion.
I know. I know,
right?
I know.
That is just like an untold amount of cash. Because I have the original versions. They released them when they did that DVD double dip, where they had the special editions and the unmastered, unremastered original versions. I couldn't wait to buy those. So I actually have them, and a lot of other people have them. They were released, but just not in a Blu-ray pristine, cleaned up manner. So.
All right, I'm going to let you guys know before we go to the next question that nobody knew we were going to do this, and you didn't know we were going to do this, but we're going to do this. We're going to make an announcement here after this next question. Instead of saving the announcement tomorrow, we're going to make an announcement after this next question. So, Ashley, go ahead and ask the next question.
All right. Louis Deslariers wrote, we always like to talk about the best movies ever. What are the 5 worst comic book movies of all time? Love the show.
We are in such a golden age right now of amazing, like, when a half-decent comic book movie comes out now, we call it absolute crap. And it's like, you know what? If it was 1993 and that movie came out, we would be calling it groundbreaking for comic book.
Kissing the floor.
We are in such a great age right now, we tend to forget how truly bad comic book movies have been in the past. So, I mean, I think all of us are going to have a completely different list. Here is mine. In no particular order, except for my number 1 worst. I'll go with over the other ones first. The first Ghost Rider film. Oh my God, that was so bad.
Garbage.
Obviously, Batman and Robin have to be on the list with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Is that number
Mr.
4?
Freeze. No, all these are in no particular order except for number 1. I'll get to number 1 in a second. Superman 4: The Quest for Peace, which we talked about on Heroes the other day. Special movie. We were just talking about Miller, The Spirit.
Yes.
Oh, if you had any doubt whether or not Miller had any real influence over the first Sin City, if he truly co-directed it with Robert Rodriguez, that question will be put to rest when you see
erased.
When you watch what he directed in The Spirit. That's truly awful. But to me, bar none, the worst comic book movie of all time. And I have in my top 3 of the overall worst motion pictures ever made, Catwoman. That movie was so bad. So once again for me, Ghost Rider, Batman and Robin, Superman 4: The Quest for Peace, The Spirit, and my number 1 is Catwoman. Schnepp, what about you?
All right.
I saw you jotting down some notes
because I was like, I want to make sure I get them right, and I did list them. So 5, I cheated. I just threw 3 in because I couldn't decide which one would be the 5th. So I'm going to give 5 has a triple tiebreaker: Catwoman, The Spirit, and Steel.
oh yes,
those-
the Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah, those 3 are garbage, but they're just hovering above. They're not. They're skimmable. You can still
Right.
skim it. Halle Berry, she gets a little bit of a pass for doing such an outrageous, weird role as Catwoman. It's like nothing anybody wanted, but she was
First
beautiful
actress
in it.
in the world, first actress, by the way, to in 1 year win the Oscar for
Mm-hmm.
Best Actress, and the following year to win the Razzie
Yeah.
for Worst Actress. And she showed up
Accepted
and
it.
accepted
Yep.
it. That's how cool Halle Berry is.
Halle Berry is super cool. That's why, she does it. So on 5. 4, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. How do you take the most incredible graphic novel written by one of the modern comic book masters, Alan Moore, and completely ruin it? A movie so fucking bad that Sean Connery quit. Sean Connery quit acting because of this movie. Sorry, I swore. Number 3, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Everybody knows I hate that film. Yeah,
Oh,
The Amazing
2. I thought you were
Spider-Man
saying-
2.
okay, I thought you were
no,
talking
no,
about-
Amazing
not,
Spider-Man.
yeah,
Amazing
Amazing Spider-Man.
You must
Not
have me
the
throwing my
Doc
hot
Ock.
tea at you.
No,
Yeah.
not Sam Raimi. No.
Okay.
This is The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Let's just say Electro has a posse. Nobody cares about it. Number 2, Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. This was a quest for a
yeah.
movie. This was such garbage,
bad.
so embarrassing. That it's just, it really, it's so astonishing. I was alerting people, go on YouTube, search Superman for The Quest for Peace, Bizarro deleted scene. Watch that. It is one of the weirdest deleted scenes you'll ever see. They actually made Bizarro, and there's like tinkly, weird circus music. It's so horrible that I insist you watch it. Number 1 for me, Batman and Robin. The
Yeah.
1997 turd fest, horrible stink bomb. The film that a lot of people, I ranked on it yesterday on Collider Heroes. I couldn't stop talking about how horrible it was, but I said, people who saw it when they were 3 or 4 get a pass because you're a
Sure.
little
It was
kid,
bright and colorful
Yeah, you
and-
enjoyed it.
yeah.
Most people wrote me back, were like, Schnepp, I did like it when I was 4 or 5. I grew up, I hate it now. So some people still like it. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying most people say that not only killed the franchise but helped ruin a lot of other
Dude,
possible.
it killed the genre
Yeah, it killed the
for a
genre.
number of years.
Yeah,
it
it
killed the
stopped-
comic book genre
Everybody was like,
completely.
look, Batman and Robin, look, don't do Superman Lives, don't do this movie, don't do that movie. We got lucky that if you like X-Men was already in production. Otherwise, a lot of other bad things would have happened.
Kristian, what about you?
I have to tell you, Batman and Robin is a fantastic comedy. It's the one right up there next to Junior. I love how stupid Batman and Robin is. It's a terrible movie, but it's funny. It is a bad comedy.
Unintentionally
and without
funny.
that movie, you don't get Nolan's version, because had it been even decent, then they would have kept chiming out more of those.
That's probably a good point.
So I'm okay with that one, even though it stinks to high heaven. So I'm going to take that one off my list. I'm also going to take off Catwoman just because you spoke about it. It's horrendous in it's the definition. If you go to a dictionary, you'll find Catwoman there. But all right, so here are some Captain America from 1990.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that almost shut down Captain America from 2011.
Red Skull looks so amazing.
With his rubber ears.
It's
Captain
so
America had
bad.
rubber
It's like, because
ears.
I remember everyone before the Chris Evans one came out, everyone's like, they can't make it work. Did you see what they did the first time? And it's like, you can't call that the first time. That's a toilet bowl flush. Spawn. Spawn is
Yeah,
terrible. Spawn
yeah.
to me was a movie that the HBO series
Right.
was
Fantastic.
great. I mean, one of
The
the best.
animated one?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you have not seen the animated series of Spawn, go check it out. Dark. I mean, it was exactly what the comic was.
And it's the guy who did the voice of Spawn. Wasn't it the same guy who does now the America's Navy commercial? What's that actor's name again?
I don't know.
Oh,
I'm not. Keith David.
Yes,
Yeah.
Keith
yeah.
David. Who pops up in like
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. Howard the Duck.
Yes.
is one. It's
Yep.
it's bad. The Phantom.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Smash Evil! Don't smash Evil.
Yeah, and
don't
but-
see that movie.
But Spider-Man 3
But Billy
to
Zane,
me.
man.
Wow, that
I-
beats out the Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Because,
For me too. It worked for me
because
too, yeah.
Tobey Maguire is singing and dancing. For some reason, Spider-Man is doing an emo flip on a piano, and he does like a "so you think you can dance" moment on it. And it's like,
his hair
it's like,
down.
what are you doing, guy? And it's like, and then everyone's crying. Doesn't matter who. Hot dog vendors there, he's crying. Everyone is crying in that movie, so it's stupid. And that movie almost killed.
Is that number 1 for you?
Yeah, I put that. It made me upset because 2 was so good.
Oh,
Right,
she was
right.
so good.
And because they jammed everything in, it was another studio interfered movie.
It was supposed to be Vulture.
Yeah,
and Sandman.
and they
were like,
made
"We need
Raimi put all
Venom."
these other characters
Yeah.
in. The Sandman story was stupid. They ruined the Uncle Ben origin. It's a fart fest.
You know what? I would watch that Spider-Man 3 dance sequence in a loop for 3 hours rather than see Amazing Spider-Man 2 again.
Not me.
It's bad.
Not me. All right, guys. Hey, listen, I got a little bit of an announcement to make because I figure I don't know why I didn't think about this before. I thought, instead of just spraying this on you guys tomorrow out of nowhere, I thought maybe I should give you a little bit of heads up. And since she's here now, you notice that at our table we have the wonderful Ashley Mova, and not sitting here today is Sinead DeFries. Now, you are not going to see Sinead here for a while. Sinead has something kind of exciting she's going to be working on that's going to be taking her away from us for the foreseeable future for a while. And we wish her all the best, and we'll have some more chat about stuff that Sinead's doing a little bit later. And we've been growing and expanding here, so we've needed more help anyway. And so, Natasha, I'm just going to have you totally unprepared come up here. Mark or Kristian, get out of your seat for a second.
Mark, Kristian, whoever you are.
See?
Alicia.
This is what it's come to, guys.
So we have been conducting a search for, Dennis and Wendy and I have been searching for a new potential host. Come on in. Hi. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you guys to meet Natasha Martinez.
Hi.
Who's going to be one of our new hosts. Natasha is a graduate of Chapman University in broadcast journalism. You were a host for one of the networks here in Los Angeles. Which network was that?
KDOC TV Los Angeles.
KDOC, and she is the current reigning, defending, undisputed Miss California USA, at least until this weekend.
Yeah, for like a few more days. So on Sunday, I'll be giving up my title, but I can be Miss Collider.
Miss
That'll be the new title.
And so I just wanted to introduce you guys to Natasha because Natasha is going to be here hosting the show tomorrow and Friday.
Yes,
so
I'm
I
very
thought
excited.
you didn't know I was going to be pulling you on camera today.
No.
Surprise!
I'm glad I had my hair and makeup done. Shoot.
Yeah,
I
you
had to
showed
compete
up in
with you guys.
tank top
so-
and sweats and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. Yeah, so I just wanted to introduce you guys to Natasha, let you guys meet her, and so it wouldn't be such a big shock to you tomorrow when you see her on there. It's like,
So
wait a
I don't
minute, that
scare
doesn't
you
look like
all.
Sinead. Well, we're looking forward to having you. We're excited that you're here.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm
Thank
excited
you.
to be here.
Welcome, Natasha.
Can I keep my seat, or did you want to?
Mark's just going to stand over here.
Stop calling me Mark, damn you.
All right, Sinead, what's next?
Oh, gosh. All right. Gary Hazara writes, favorite seventh movie of a franchise this year, Creed or Furious 7?
Great
That
question.
is a great question. I love that question. You know what? I enjoyed Fast and Furious 7. I really, really did. But I got to give it to Creed. And they are two totally different movies. Absolutely, they're totally different movies. But if I had to pick one right now, here's the big test. John, I'm standing in movie theaters. This theater, free entrance to go see Furious 7 again, or free entrance to go watch Creed again. I'm walking in to go watch Creed again. So full props to Furious 7, but I'm going in to watch Creed again. What about you?
Well, Finstock, for me, I think that Creed is the movie that knocked me out of my seat. It's one of the best movies of the year, I think. And what Ryan Coogler did with that franchise, he breathed. Because I don't even necessarily know if you can call it a Rocky movie or a seventh movie because and just like the story itself, it stands on its own.
Yeah, it really
and
does.
It really that's what Creed wanted to do. The character wanted to do, and he did it. As where Furious 7 is clearly the seventh movie in the franchise, and it was fun. It lost a little bit of steam, and I think that because of all the problems, obviously, and what happened, what they did was amazing.
Right.
But as far as a pure movie, it's Creed.
So I haven't seen Creed yet. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I might see it this afternoon. I'm very excited about seeing it. I will see it in the next 2 days. Saw Fury 7, but neither of those are my pick for best seventh movie.
Seventh Son.
For me, it's Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
Nice.
That is the seventh movie
You're right.
in the franchise that I've been waiting my entire life
But we
to
haven't
see.
seen it yet. So
Hey,
we
I
can't
haven't-
give it to that yet.
I haven't seen Creed
and
yet.
technically, it's the 8th.
Well,
Because there was in wide release a Star Wars Clone Wars movie.
Really?
That
That's
got,
true.
Yeah, it was awful.
Yeah.
It was really
they
awful.
actually released
It was
that?
theatrically
It
released.
was
Yeah.
theatrically
Wow.
released.
It's
It
the
was-
launch of the series.
That ruins my whole thing. I guess I'll have to go with Creed. No, I haven't seen Creed yet, so I can't really decide. But everything I liked Furious 7. I feel like I'm going to love Creed. So even without seeing Creed, I'm weighing towards Creed, but I can't really weigh in yet.
All right, what's next?
Augustine Hernandez writes, I'm a newcomer to your show, first discovering your show when the Star Wars FA trailers came out. Anyways, I had a question about the two movies opening on the same weekend, Deadpool and Zoolander. Who do you think will make more at the box office or will be considered successful at the box office? Do you think Deadpool will be affected by this?
Well, every movie that comes out is affected one way or another to some degree by whatever is opening against it. I mean, there's whether it's a 1% effect, 99% effect, whatever. You know, for the longest time, I would have said Deadpool. Easy. I would have said Deadpool easy. Because despite the fact that it is an R-rated action film, or at least comic book film, which is kind of a new experiment right now for these new mainstream comic book movies, you know, the fact of the matter is, Zoolander, while I love Zoolander, I can watch it every night before going to bed and still laugh. Every single time. I still think it's my favorite Will Ferrell role as Mugatu. So I love that movie to death. But I don't think a lot of people do. So I would have said easily Deadpool, but now I am not so sure. We just did a story on Movie Talk the other day about how the trailer for Zoolander 2 just set the record for most views of a comedy trailer in its first week of release, which kind of surprised me, but pleasantly so. And if that many people are actually interested in a Zoolander 2, you know what? I'll give a pick near the end. But let me hear what you guys have to say first before I make my pick. What do you think, Kristian?
As far as, I mean, you're also going, what, PG-13 versus rated R?
Yes.
It's tough because Deadpool is a movie that comic book fans and Sweaty, as Schnepp says, I've been looking forward to for a long time, especially done the right way.
Yeah, and everything they're doing with
everything they're doing, the marketing has been amazing.
Yeah.
And now Zoolander, even though I'm not a fan of the original one, it's a movie that people love.
Yeah.
People love that movie. And but I'm just wondering if Zoolander is just a little too late. But I'm just gonna say Deadpool. But I would not be shocked at all if Zoolander 2 won to pull because of the rating and because of the love for the.
Okay,
first
by the razor thin margin, you're gonna go Deadpool.
Just razor thin.
I'm gonna go razor thin margin Zoolander 2, just because of the popularity of that trailer. I didn't think there'd be that much interest, but by razor thin margin. What about you?
Are they both opening the
same weekend? Yes.
Deadpool is gonna slaughter Zoolander. I think Zoolander is going to make money. Obviously, from the reaction to that trailer, it's going to make a lot of money, and it's across the board. I think globally, more people will be like, "Oh, Zoolander!" They know it because it's a branded thing. It's been on all the basic cable streaming. You could see Zoolander for free everywhere across the planet. Deadpool, though, is something that has built up so much steam that it's going to explode. I think it's going to slaughter it. I'm predicting 100 million. Wow, opening weekend
for Deadpool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, but I think I know it's safe to say. Now, let's go back to that movie theater. You got 2 theaters. You can walk into free right now. Walk in and see Zoolander 2. Walk and see Deadpool. You're going
Deadpool.
I'm going Deadpool. Ashley?
I'm going Zoolander, guys.
Bless your heart.
I wanted to throw up when you said you weren't a fan of Zoolander.
Sorry.
I know,
How are
right?
you not a fan of Zoolander?
Because I don't like. There's very few roles I like Ben Stiller in, and I'm just not a Ben Stiller guy. There's like
How could you
4
not
movies.
like this face?
You've just answered your own question.
All right.
Or was that Magnum? Okay, what's next?
Lexi Russell writes, "Love your show. My boyfriend got me turned on to you guys, and now I watch it without him." Anyway, the National Board of Review was the first.
Like a question.
I mean, it was a really weird way to phrase that. Anyway, the National Board of Review was the first critic group to put out their awards list, and they named Mad Max Fury Road Best Picture of the Year. Do you agree with that pick?
Mad Max Fury Road, great film. I enjoyed it a great deal. It's not going to end up in my top 3 or top 4. If you're going to ask me what was the best pure action movie of the year, it's Mad Max Fury Road. I had some issues with. I thought it was a little bit thin in some other areas, but overall, I really enjoyed. I think everybody at this table, we really enjoyed it. Not my top 3, but I do have a problem with them naming it Best Picture, and here's why. Not because I wouldn't name it as Best Picture. But you look at what goes into making a movie the best movie it can possibly be, right? Now, follow this. The National Board of Review, they gave Best Picture to Mad Max Fury Road, but they gave Best Director, Best Actor, and Best Screenplay all to The Martian. They gave all Best Director Ridley Scott, The Martian,
right.
Best Actor Matt Damon, Best Screenplay was by Drew Goddard for The Martian. So if you got a movie that you're saying, that movie has the best direction, the best acting, and the best screenplay, how then do you not say then that is the best movie? By definition then, by your own standards, that's the best movie. If best movie is the accumulation of all the parts, and you're saying this one movie is best director, best screenplay, best actor, well, what else did you need to make the other one the best picture? So not because, I don't know that I would have named Martian the best picture either. I'm just saying if you're going to say Martian is best director, best screenplay, and best actor, then logically speaking, how do you justify not then saying that's the best movie? So I'm just a little uncertain because of that. Anyway, Schnepp, I know you loved Mad Max Fury Road probably more than anybody else at this table.
Yes. But I would say within that context of what you're saying, they're leaving out. They're saying these three we say are best, but then they're not saying best costuming, best special
there are
effects.
other elements. There are other
I'm
elements.
just saying, like I agree with you. It is a little weird that those top three went to this one movie, and then the overall went to this other movie. That happens very rarely in the Oscars.
It is rare.
It's
yeah.
rare, but for myself, Mad Max Fury Road is in the top three. For myself, I haven't seen The Revenant yet. There's some films that I cannot wait to see that I feel will move certain things around for me, hopefully, or maybe not. But right now, I loved Mad Max Fury Road. It's one of the top three movies for me this year, and that the National Board of Review gave it the top honor is pretty cool, I think. I mean, I don't think it's going to be the top on a lot of other, big award ceremonies. So it's cool that it got it. It deserves it in my eyes because it's a return to form of George Miller's amazing prowess as a director. I mean, it's thin on story, but that was cool with me. I don't need a big story. I just needed this one amazing journey from point A to point B.
And to me, probably the most unique film of the year.
Very unique. I mean, it took so many risks and challenges that I give it props just for it almost being an experimental film on many levels. So definitely.
And hey, just before we get to Kristian too, just the other major awards from the National Board of Review. Best Actress went to Brie Larson for Room.
Wow.
Best Supporting Actor went to Sylvester Stallone for Creed. Best Supporting Actress went to Jennifer Jason Leigh for The Hateful Eight. Best Original Screenplay went to Quentin Tarantino for The Hateful Eight. Best Adapted Screenplay, as we mentioned, was Drew Goddard for The Martian. And the Best Animated Feature was Inside Out. Anyway, Kristian, your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, the first question I have for you is that, so who is, because you have in Hateful Eight there, which obviously hasn't come out yet, too. Were they considering Revenant as well? Were they considering Spotlight? Were they considering all these movies that, Spotlight's come out, but these movies that haven't come out yet?
Well, we already know that Star Wars was not in consideration because Star Wars refused to give them advanced copies of it. So I don't know if Revenant was a part of that or not, or if they were and just got shut out.
See, it's well, especially Spotlight's the one to me that there's no mention of Spotlight at all. And Spotlight, you're going to hear.
Now, granted, we didn't see the nominee list. We're just seeing the winners.
Right, but let's say, I mean, because Spotlight you're going to be hearing about in the Oscars. And
lots of
Spotlight's
Spotlight
one of the best movies of the year. But in regards to Mad Max is a visual masterpiece.
Oh, yes.
I mean, it is a movie that, like you guys said, it's different. The fact that this guy returned to the franchise he created and did what he did with it. Now, as far as being the best movie of the year, it's certainly not my pick for my favorite movie of the year, but it should be recognized. And what I really enjoy about these particular awards, when you hear something like Jennifer Jason Leigh and Stallone and people that are winning, I think Stallone will get a nomination this year for the Oscars, but I don't think he'll win.
I think he's got a chance of winning.
No,
I mean, him and Tom Hardy, it's going to be a tough race with Tom
and the
Hardy,
Revenant's
but
going to win.
I think he's got a legit shot.
Maybe so. I just what I see when I hear this list and see the people that won, I just go, you know what? Bravo to these. Even if I don't necessarily think that Mad Max should have won Best Picture, but bravo to them that these types of movies, the movies that most people here that are watching today and that watch the film fans go and see the majority, like the big budget movies as well too, those are the ones that win. And it's not like an MTV Awards type thing. This is like a legit thing. So because some of these movies will never get nominated or win in the Oscars. So I actually applaud this list. I think it's
nice to see Brie Larson getting some recognition too.
Definitely.
We've had our eyes on her for a long time.
Long-term 12, incredible. I'm really happy to actually announce, I don't know if this isn't a spoiler, but they're actually setting up to do Mad Max the return. Like they're George Miller's in Australia.
He said he's going to do 2 more.
Yeah, but they're actually in pre-production right now.
Wow.
So I'm really excited. That's great news, especially with them winning National Board of Review. I think that makes Warner Brothers feel a lot better about, like, we're about to put a lot more money into this next crazy movie.
All right, over under 65%. Over or under 65%. The chances that Mad Max Fury Road will get nominated at the Academy Awards for Best Picture. Oh, the over-under line is 65%. Schnepp, over or under 65%?
Oh, boy. Under 65%. But I want it to be nominated.
Right.
I would like to see it nominated, but I'll say, I'm saying it'll probably not get nominated.
All right. I'm going to go over. I'm going to go over 65%.
I'm going to go way under. It's 8, 9 movies that get nominated. I don't see it happening.
All right, what's next?
Drew Schaefer writes, Dear Collider, love the show. My question is, do you think actors that have a failing career who are cast in a sequel years later, that sequel could save their career? For example, Hayden Christensen being in episode 8. Love to hear your thoughts. Thank you.
Here's the thing about that situation. We have seen in the past actors with big careers, and then they go on a dry spell, and then they go back to what worked for them before. Sylvester Stallone is almost the poster child for this. He was doing Rocky and Rambo movies, and he got away from those for about 10 years, and nothing worked, although he was great in Copland. But other than that, nothing was working, so what did he do? He went back to Rocky and Rambo, and everybody loves him. Arnold Schwarzenegger, for a long time, got away from big stuff, and then he came back as Terminator, all that kind of stuff. Vin Diesel, got to say, I'm done with Fast and the Furious. Nothing else working. Guess what? I'm back in Fast and the Furious. So that worked. But with Hayden Christensen, though, there's one key major difference. With Sylvester Stallone with Rocky, with Vin Diesel in Fast and the Furious, with Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator, these were actors that people beloved them for in those original roles that they came back to. Not a lot of Hayden Christensen love for his portrayal as Anakin Skywalker in the prequels. So whereas you would have had a lot of people who would love to see Arnold come back as Terminator, maybe not anymore, but at the time they did, or they'd love to see Sylvester come back as Rocky one more time, or so on and so forth. I don't think you're going to get that same kind of nostalgic love for Hayden Christensen coming back for number 8. I still don't think it's going to happen at all, but anyway, do you think this could be something that A, fans would really love, and B, could revive Hayden Christensen's career?
Well, first of all, like you said, we don't know for sure if this is going to happen.
Right.
If it does, what people were tweeting me when this rumor was going around, and I guess just thinking that I was going to hate it, I actually really I'm excited for the possibility of him coming back in episode 8. If it's obviously flashback or hologram.
Sorry, I think your microphone's not working.
I know. I'll tell you why though, because it's for this topic. Because I think I'm curious to see what Rian Johnson can do with Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker, and whether it's a flashback in the Clone Wars, whether it's a flashback to see him as Vader, in the Jedi Temple, whatever it is, and giving him a shot to see what he can do. And do I think that if he has we also don't know how big the role is going to be. If it's a 5-minute role, is it going to revive his career? Probably not. But if it's maybe like, and I doubt this is going to happen, but if it's a Godfather 2 type thing where you see a little bit more of a mission that Anakin had to go through, and you're watching Rian Johnson work with him, then yeah, it could, because maybe he pulls something out of this kid that we've never seen before. Is that likely? No, but it absolutely could help his career if done the right way.
Yeah, I don't see it helping his career because all those actors that you mentioned were also beloved in all these other franchises.
Yeah.
Arnold, Sylvester, all those guys had like a whole ton of other movies that also had multiple sequels based on them and their actual, like, hey, it's Stallone, he's back, or Schwarzenegger, what's he going to do next? It wasn't based on a character. It was more they were bigger than the character. So someone like Hayden Christensen, we just did our commentaries on all 3 of those prequels. Not the greatest turn of acting from Hayden Christensen. Definitely wasn't, really directed very well. It wasn't given a lot of, just do that again, but faster, whatever, however that, the script itself also had some issues, a lot of issues. But so, I feel bad for Hayden because I've seen him in other roles where he actually was good, but I don't think that, he's going to get a breakout like return off of this movie. He'll have to do another couple films and maybe get cast in some other film that he knocks it out of the park.
Right.
And, it's not going to be episode 8. He's going to be Darth Vader, and James Earl Jones is going to be doing the voice. So it's basically him kind of walking around in a suit.
Not necessarily if they do it, a Hayden, young Anakin type
I don't
thing.
think they're going to do a young Anakin. I honestly think it's like, look, dude, you're Darth Vader. We'll give you here's some money. Walk around in this Darth Vader outfit.
Really?
I don't think he's tall enough to be in that. I don't think you're going to see the classic Darth Vader. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see that.
I think you'll see him in Rogue One, but
maybe
it won't be
Hayden
Hayden Christensen.
Yeah.
See, that's what I was talking about is Rogue One.
No,
you're talking about he's going to be in episode 8.
Episode 8 is the rumor.
The rumor was he'd come back in episode 8, maybe as a Force ghost or something
Rogue
like that.
One, there's a guy that they do, and I think it might be even a wrestler that they hire.
Seamus is that's the rumor.
That's the rumor because
Seamus.
he's like 6'4", 6'5", because David Prowse was like 6'4" or something, 6'5".
I see. So
and a
for him,
bodybuilder.
Yeah.
So if they did a Rogue One flashback with
all
Anakin,
Rogue One is a flashback.
right?
I mean,
It's all
You mean
takes
episode
place
8
before-
flashback?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, episode 8. That would be cool.
Yeah.
I changed my mind now. Maybe he could, add some flavor to that he didn't get to.
All right, folks, listen, in just a minute, since we are doing the show live, and there are thousands of you watching it live right now, we're going to save a little bit of time at the end of the show to take some of your live Twitter questions. How do you get your Twitter question on? Simple. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at Collider Video and start tweeting in your questions. Ashley is our gatekeeper. She will be the one determining if your question gets on or not. But before we get to that, it is Wednesday, which means it is time for Rewind, or what I like to call the Feeling Old segment, brought to you by our friends at AMC. This is a segment where we talk about the films celebrating their 10th anniversaries this week and the movies celebrating their 20th anniversaries this week. And whereas last week was a phenomenal anniversary weekend, this one, not so much. We have, celebrating its 10th anniversary, speaking of Mad Max Fury Road, Charlize Theron's Aeon Sucks. Aeon Flux. We also have, celebrating their 20th anniversaries, White Man's Burden with Harry Belafonte and John Travolta, and Wild Bill with Jeff Bridges. Schnepp, which of these films stand out to you?
I know the ones that don't stand out because I didn't see Wild Bill, so I can't comment on that. White Man's Burden, also didn't see that. I just remember reading about it. I was like, wow, that's a weird kind of alternate universe freak fest. Never saw it. Aeon Flux stands out to me because I loved MTV's Liquid Television, and specifically I loved Peter Chung's Aeon Flux. I thought that was one of the most groundbreaking, really fun, super trippy, freaky spy, psychosexual, animated freak fest things that was on Liquid Television. Every time Liquid Television was on, I couldn't wait to see another 3-minute weirdo thing where Aeon Flux would die. How is she going to die every episode? And then they actually did a series where she didn't die, but it's really fun, really cool. Movie, not so much. Actually, movie, kind of a disappointment. I give them props for trying to do such a super weird animated film and adapt it. And they tried in many ways to adapt a lot of the super weird things that are in that cartoon. They don't lend themselves to adapting very well. And the movie itself kind of fell flat, and they did a lot of these things that aren't in the animated series, just dumb story cliches. Really, why are you sticking that into Aeon Flux? It doesn't even need it. So they kind of ruined it, and I can't recommend seeing it other than an adjunct. If you're an Aeon Flux fan and you have the animated series, watch this as the bizarro, strange experiment that they did that didn't work, that Charlize Theron is in, and she's great in everything. So,
Kristian?
Aeon Flux, I remember when that came out, I was super excited to see it, because I remember the hype behind it, and I'm like, oh, this movie delivers. It could have really done a lot for bringing with the series and everything. And I saw it in the Paramount lot, and I'll never forget. I saw it was a test screening beforehand, and there was this guy who looked like he just found out he lost everything he had, and he's just like, what was that? What was that? And he's screaming, and I'm like, that sums up what the movie was. It was so bad. It was so bad, and I just remember watching it going, oh man, this is every bit of potential that this had is just gone because of this movie, and it was disappointing. I did see White Man's Burden back in the day, and I remember that it was a really cool premise, and I remember both Harry Belafonte and
John
Travolta were really good in it, but it just lost. I think it lost a lot of. I don't know. It became a lot not very realistic towards the middle of it, and then the end I thought was. I remember watching it as a kid and being interested in the premise, and then I think it was fairly boring.
Was it a parable, or was it preachy? I just don't get it. It's an
idea,
but
it's hard not to be
parable.
Okay. It's hard not to be preachy in that the movie in general too. So you kind of expect that going in, and that wasn't the problem with it. I just remember just being it just wasn't the execution. I think was
that's the word. It was a great concept. It was a great idea, and if some filmmaker came along today and tried it, I would still be fascinated with what they could do.
Right.
However, premise is just premise. It doesn't matter if it's the greatest premise in the world. It's about execution. To me, it didn't execute very well. And that's Aeon Flux as well. Aeon Flux was such a mess.
So bad.
It was such a mess despite the great casting and all the hope that it had. And Wild Bill's not bad, actually. I kind of like Wild Bill. I had no problem with it. All right, folks, I said we would save a little bit of time for your live Twitter questions, and we're going to do that right now. Once again, make sure you're following us on Twitter at Collider Video, and send on in your tweets right now. So, Ashley, what have you picked out?
Joe Deci Jones writes, is there an actor that you like that anyone else can't stand? Mine is Hayden Christensen.
Nobody likes Hayden Christensen. Oh, no. Oh, sorry.
Is there
And
actor
that
you
You
can't
like
stand?
and everyone else doesn't like.
Everybody else doesn't like. Oh, gosh. That's
That's a weird one. Steve Buscemi. Just kidding. Everybody
Everyone
likes
loves
him.
I love Steve Buscemi.
I know. I'm
Yeah,
joking. It's
he's
like I
great.
can't really think of one. It's like,
Oh my gosh. Okay, there's the guy right now, and I'm forgetting his name. He was in Saving Silverman.
Jason Biggs?
No, the second guy. The guy who plays like his best friend in it.
I can't remember.
Jack
then-
Black.
No, and he right now he's in Modern Family as the next door neighbor. Why is his name eluding
Bob
me?
Stimpenson.
No.
Bill Frififisons.
You answer the question and I'll look
Steve
it up.
Zahn?
Steve Zahn.
Steve Zahn's
I-
awesome.
He's
I
awesome.
like Steve Zahn.
Yeah.
Really?
Steve-
I
love
thought most
Steve
people
Zahn.
didn't like Steve
He's
Zahn.
he's a voice in Good Dinosaur also.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's right. He's the
Yeah, I like
pterodactyl.
Steve Zahn.
That's right.
Man, I got to think about that.
How about
Jai
next
Courtney. I love Jai Courtney. You guys hate him.
Bing
I don't know.
How about next question,
All
Ashley?
right. Let's go next question.
Awesome Sauce writes, any chance on another Matrix? Stay awesome.
Nah. I mean, it's possible they'll reboot it at some point, but like they drove that thing into the ground. Like they had like the best thing ever.
Yep.
I'm one of the few people that I didn't mind Matrix 2. I thought there was enough redeeming qualities about Matrix 2.
The Keymaster.
That I still enjoyed it. The twins, the highway fight, I thought there was enough redeemable stuff. Monica Bellucci. I thought there was enough good stuff in that second one that I still enjoyed it, but it was a significant decline in quality. And then just forget 3. That was just a mess.
Yeah, it was. There were rumors going around for a while that they were going to try to do a new one, but the other problem is that the Wachowskis can't buy a hit right now. And
No.
if they're going to do the Matrix, it's not going to be with the Wachowskis.
No.
at this point.
Honestly, I'm probably skipping whatever the Wachowskis direct. After
Yeah.
watching Jupiter Ascending, I've just given up on them.
Come on, Jupiter Ascending wasn't that bad. It's like the Chronicles of Riddick.
A lot of people like that. So a lot of people like
what?
Jupiter.
It's
Not Jupiter
guilty.
Ascending. I'm thinking of the one before that. Yeah.
A lot of people like being choked out while having sex too.
That wasn't
that
a
doesn't mean it's
Cloud
not
Atlas.
It wasn't Jupiter. It's Cloud
Really
Atlas.
like Cloud Atlas.
Cloud Atlas.
I like to say that out of the
Yeah.
5 parts of Cloud Atlas, I really like 2 of them.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, you know what? I love The Matrix, and I recently rebought it like a year ago. So I have the one and only thing that they made called The Matrix, which I think is fantastic. You just don't count 2 and 3. I think that was like a bad mistake. They could say whatever they want about their movie, but I, as a consumer, don't like those 2 sequels. I just think the first Matrix is a fantastic, amazing film, and I even like the Animatrix, the animated version.
Animatrix was
They have some really
Animatrix was
cool,
pretty good.
some
The
cool
Animatrix was
stuff
pretty
going
good.
on in there. I just think there was a lot of bad decisions and weird casting, and it felt like watching a bad episode of Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, the
Remember,
anima-
they're like, we are the consoles. Like, where's Neo and Morpheus? I don't care about these weird characters. You know,
The Animatrix could have been the movies.
Yeah.
Like, they could have spun those stories into the
that
actual
would have been
movies.
fantastic.
Here's a quick question. Who's the guy? I know it wasn't Donnie Yen, but I remember for a long time I thought it was Donnie Yen. Who's the guy who played Seraph? Do you remember like the dude all in white who was like
Oh, and yeah.
the girl's
right,
the
right,
woman's
right.
bodyguard? Okay, I looked at him. It's an actor who I'd never heard of. It's a guy by the name of Colin Cho. Which is, I remember at first I remember, is that Donnie Yen? And I knew it wasn't Donnie Yen. I like Seraph. I thought Seraph was pretty cool. Okay, what's next?
Shanti writes, what's up with The Incredibles 2? I need this movie in my life.
I need it so bad. Okay, what's up with it? It should have come out 5 years ago. That's what's up with it. We also, and for those of you who are interested, we put up a video early this morning called the Top 10, where we count down the top 10 Pixar films of all time. And I believe The Incredibles was number 2 on our list. I think
was up there.
after we did our whole calculation of all the votes,
Yeah,
I
we all
believe it came in
chimed in
number
on
2. But go check out that video, see what came in number 1. It's moving along. Brad Bird just did a little bit of talking about it recently. He's working hard on it. This thing is in full motion. It's coming. I can't remember if they have a release date for it yet or not.
I think I hate to say it's 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even like,
late.
coming out in 2 years. It's like 3 years. It's a painfully long wait.
June 21st, 2019.
2019.
So
That's even
so
worse.
you got a long wait, my friend.
Oh, boy.
Wow, that's
Just
why
get
am I-
married
guess
and
they're-
have kids and settle down. That's what's going to happen.
That's your mission now.
Yeah.
Have procreate so you
Yeah.
can watch this movie with your
With your
children.
4-year-old children.
The Star Wars trilogy will be almost over.
I know. What the hell, Brad Bird? Come on. You're killing us.
All right, what's next?
Wade/Hip Square 2000 writes, do you think that Krampus will be a hit with modern audiences and perform well at the box office?
Nope.
You know what?
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I want to see it. I'm very curious about it, but I'm not sensing a lot of wide interest in it.
I am not either. I'm wearing my Krampus sweater. You get this at Middle of Beyond, guys. It's an amazing sweater. I wore this because I wanted to talk about Rare Exports, which is an amazing film made in Sweden. It's a Krampus movie that you should see if you haven't seen it. Look it up.
I'm so glad you said it's a Krampus movie because I'm like, where are you going with this?
I know, Rare
I want to
Exports.
talk about Rare Exports.
But no, because I couldn't remember it yesterday. We were talking about Krampus because it's got a really weird title. It's a disservice to the film, the title itself. It's called Rare Exports. Look it up. It will become your classic movie that you watch every Christmas. It's amazing. It's a great horror film. That being said, I don't know about Krampus. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to see it opening day because I love horror films. So I want this to be great.
And I love Adam Scott.
I like the cast. Keckner's in it. It's got a great cast. It feels like it could be a really fun horror comedy. You got Doherty, who, I think did a great job writing and directing Trick or Treat. Let's not talk about Superman Returns, but what he did with Trick or Treat was, I think he did a great return to the horror anthology, which we all love from Creepshow. I know this isn't a horror anthology, but I've seen a lot of the designs of some of the creatures that Krampus is controlling. It looks like it's going to be a really fun horror comedy, so I'm looking forward to it.
I'm going to see it tonight, and I'm not like the biggest horror fan, but I like when they're done well. I mean, and I know Cabin in the Woods isn't necessarily a horror movie, but it was kind of like a spoof on the horror film.
It was awesome, though.
I love that movie, and I want to see something that's different. I like movies that they did turn the genre kind of on its head a little bit, and the cast is amazing, but I don't think that translated into automatic hit.
Right.
I think that it's because people aren't going to know necessarily what it is.
Right.
I don't think it's going to perform very well at the box office.
But if you love it and tell everyone,
I still don't think it'll do anything.
All right, time for one last question.
All right, Gabriel Bailey writes, what do you think about toy marketing possibly spoiling plot details of films like Avengers, Star Wars, B vs. S?
Yeah, we have seen it happen in the past. And I think in the last year or two, you've seen the relationship between the toy companies and the movie studios trying to tighten that up to try to limit the amount of spoilers that get out as a result of, popping up these toys at toy fairs for a movie that doesn't come out for 9 more months. It's like, oh, I guess that's what Megatron's looking like in the next movie or something like that. I think they're working on tightening that up because they have to. There's just, when you have these big public expos and you're releasing stuff that you don't want, as a film marketer, you don't want the general audience to know for another 6 months or so. That's a problem, and I think they've been ranching it down on it a bit.
You know what? It's really funny that's a good question, because yesterday we talked about the Batman v Superman teaser. And you and Ellis were both saying, I think it's a dream sequence. A toy fair from like several months ago had released that action figure of him in the desert outfit, and it's called Nightmare Batman. With a K, so like Dark Knight, Nightmare Batman.
Right.
I don't think it's a dream sequence. I think it's part of the movie. But most of the people who were online yesterday were saying, it's the toy. It's telling you it is a dream sequence. So everyone is now surmising that it is a dream sequence. I'm like, look, just because the toy is called, they've released a ton of like Man of Steel toys that have nothing to do with Man of Steel or Batman, Dark Knight toys. You have like, look at Balloon Batman. That's not in the movie. Some weird dude who's all floating in a red outfit. I'm like, I don't know what that is. Is that in the movie? Just because they call it something doesn't mean it necessarily even corresponds to what the character or the action is in the film. So we'll have to all wait 3 months, but I don't know.
And it's not just toys; it's these stinking coloring books. And Star Wars. There was this one Star Wars kids book that just came out and ruined the entire plot.
No,
how that thing got? I didn't read it. I read I saw one thing and I was like, whoa, and I stopped reading it. But like how that thing got out there, and especially from Lucasfilm, who's been so good at not. And then I guess Amazon posted the soundtrack list for Star Wars.
Now people are reviewing that and giving spoilers on that. How is it possible to avoid these things?
It's tough, man, especially with, I think that the problem with toys is you don't always get something like when they're going to release a movie, you want to gear up to it and get to it. And sometimes like Christmas time is when you have to release certain things. So if Batman v Superman coming out in March, you want to get ahead of it. Put it out in December to start selling these things, and you get the word out, but you don't always have to spoil.
I remember there was this one situation that happened just last year where Sons of Anarchy is a show we all love around here. Sons of Anarchy was coming to an end, and this woman wrote the book on Sons of Anarchy. Basically wrote the book on it, about the production of the story behind it, and wrote the whole book on it. And it was supposed to be released the day after the series finale aired. And one bookstore put it out a week early. Yeah. And in the book, the ending of the series is revealed. I remember Kurt Sutter, the showrunner. Remember this? He got online and went on this profanity. He was talking about, they're fucking heads are gonna roll.
People were fired.
He was so pissed, and that's the type of risk you run when you get into merchandising marketing, whether it's books, toys, coloring books, whatever. It's one of the dangerous holes.
What do you guys think about, like, because Star Wars is coming out December 18th?
Yeah.
Now, families
14th for some of us.
families have to buy their kids presents. They can't wait till the 18th when all these like I guess all the Star Wars figures or whatever, like a lot of the third act, they're coming out later, is what I keep hearing. So they're not so the spoilers for the movie, the action figures or whatever, the toy sets aren't coming out until later.
The Darth Plagueis toy will come out, or the Supreme Leader Snoke toy will come out after the movie is released.
But what I'm saying is, like, how do families deal with that, where they're like, oh, December 18th, or how does Disney deal with that, where we want to get all those toys into Toys R Us before the movie opens on December 18th, so that families have more than 4 days to buy Christmas presents, you know?
They're going to sell so many BB-8 toys, I don't think they're worried about it.
Yep.
All right, folks, that will do it for us for this installment of Collider Movie Talk. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you spending a little bit of your time with us today. Just want to remind you that lots of great films are playing out at our friends over at AMC Theatres right now. Head on over to www.amctheatres.com for all of your theater, showtime, and of course, your movie ticket information. Like this video, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, keeping you up to date on all the shows we got going on. We got a Star Wars Rebel recap coming up a little bit later today. We got Heroes, we got Jedi Council, Mailbag, lots of great stuff. Make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. And if you did like this show, make sure you click that thumbs up button. It's just a nice way of communicating to us that you like it. And remember, the most important part of these shows is not what the idiots at the table have to say, it's what you have to say. Make sure you jump into the comments section and leave your thoughts on any or all the topics that we discussed here today. I want to thank the guy sitting at the table with me, sitting over here, Mr. Jon Schnepp. Schnepp, where can people find you online?
You can find me. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, just at Jon Schnepp. Go to my website, www.tdoslwh.com, and get my film. Get it as a digital download. You can watch it right now with 8 hours of extra sweaty features. The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened. Check it out. Support an independent film.
Sitting over here on my right, the Zoolander hating Kristian Harloff. Kristian, where can people find you?
You can find me not making silly model faces on my Twitter and Instagram at Kristian Harloff. And like John said, make sure you check out the Rebels recap today and Jedi Council tomorrow. Just so you guys know, Tiffany Smith will be on next week. This week, we're going to have, it's myself, John, Mark, and Mr. Jon Schnepp. It'll be the four of us on Jedi Council.
Be a madhouse.
Check that out tomorrow.
And, of course, our lovely host today, Miss Ashley Mova. Ashley, where can people find you?
You guys can find me making silly model faces on Twitter and on Instagram at Ashley Mova. Happy Wednesday, guys.
Give us a magnum.
I always...
And, of course, you can follow me on the various social media channels on Facebook and on Twitter, simply at Jon Campea. That'll do it for us, guys. Thanks so much for joining us for Collider Video. Until next time, bye-bye.
Hey, guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.